On September 29, 2025, United States President Donald Trump announced a new framework for Gaza. He stood beside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House. He presented what he called a 20-point plan. The stated goal was to end the long and devastating war in the Gaza Strip. The plan also aimed to resolve the broader crisis that has engulfed the Middle East for nearly 2 years. This proposal, negotiated with input from several Arab and Muslim nations, represents a new ceasefire initiative. It arrived with a firm deadline. Trump declared that Hamas had until October 5, 2025, to accept the terms or face what he called all hell. The announcement immediately sent ripples across the globe. The plan matters profoundly for Palestinians. They have endured nearly 2 years of intense conflict since the attacks of October 7, 2023. Daily life in Gaza has been defined by bombing, displacement, hunger, and loss. Any proposal that promises an end to this suffering must be taken seriously. The Trump plan claims it can deliver peace and stability. The Trump plan is built around several key pillars. The most immediate and welcome element is the call for a comprehensive ceasefire. This would halt all military operations. Israel. This would halt all military operations. Hamas. Following the ceasefire, the plan outlines a process for the release of all remaining Israeli captives held in Gaza. The plan calls for the release of Israeli captives. In exchange, a number of Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails would also be freed. The plan calls for the release of Palestinian prisoners. This exchange is designed as a critical first step to build trust and de-escalate the conflict. On October 8, 2025, both Israel and Hamas confirmed they had agreed to this first phase. Another major component is the restructuring of governance in Gaza. The proposal calls for Hamas to give up its governing power. A temporary technocratic Palestinian committee would be established. The committee would be composed of qualified, apolitical Palestinians. They would run day-to-day services, manage municipalities, and restore infrastructure. The creation of the Board of Peace is perhaps the most debated element of the Trump plan. On the surface, it is presented as international oversight to ensure a smooth transition. The board is intended to bring global expertise and resources to the immense task of rebuilding Gaza. Proponents highlight who would lead it: Trump and Tony Blair. They say it can guarantee security for both sides and attract massive international investment for reconstruction. It is framed as a temporary stabilizer and neutral authority to prevent a power vacuum, but critics view this structure with deep suspicion. An American president chairing Gaza's transitional body reads like foreign domination. Tony Blair's inclusion recalls the British Mandate for Palestine. Critics call it a colonial framework, casting outsiders as trustees and undermining Palestinian self-determination. Sovereignty concerns sit at the heart of the opposition. Palestinian activists propose a decolonized alternative that removes the Board of Peace entirely. They fear a supposedly temporary board could become permanent, institutionalizing foreign control. Locals might manage services without real power over borders, foreign relations, or destiny. A crucial test for any peace plan is how it addresses the core Palestinian aspiration, an independent and sovereign state. The Trump plan approaches this issue with deliberate ambiguity. It acknowledges a Palestinian state as a possibility, an aspiration of the Palestinian people. However, it stops short of any concrete commitments. It does not say the United States would recognize a state of Palestine. There is no timeline, no benchmarks, and no clear process. Statehood remains a distant and uncertain hope. The ambiguity was quickly clarified by Israel. Prime Minister Netanyahu stated that a Palestinian state would not be established under Trump's plan. The deal focuses on security and administration, not political solutions. It suggests managing the conflict rather than resolving it. There is no pathway to reunify Gaza with the West Bank, territories envisioned together as a future Palestinian state. A credible plan would show how to connect and govern them as one. Treating Gaza as a separate unit under supervision risks permanent separation. For many, the lack of a political horizon is a major failing. The reaction among Palestinians to the Trump plan has been complex and divided. The most immediate feeling, especially in Gaza, is exhaustion. After nearly 2 years of relentless war, the struggle for survival is unbearable. On social media and in man-on-the-street interviews, many urged Hamas to accept the plan. They see it as a path to end misery and start rebuilding. Desire for peace is tempered by deep distrust. Many view the proposal as favoring Israel. Ada al-Jazir said, "People are holding on to hope. Maybe the plan will give a chance for a breakthrough, but we do not trust Trump or Netanyahu. The promise of a ceasefire, aid and releases are tangible, life-saving benefits. For families in tents, short-term gains are paramount. Sovereignty can feel distant next to safety and sustenance. Others insist deferring statehood and accepting foreign oversight is unacceptable. They fear the deal could legitimize new control and harm the national project. The most significant short-term gain is the cessation of violence. Phase 1 brought the promise of an immediate ceasefire. For Gaza, that means a halt to airstrikes, shelling, and ground incursions. A pause opens corridors for critical aid. Food, water, and medicine reach a population on the brink. Families can search for loved ones, assess damage, and breathe without constant fear. Releases provide profound relief and build confidence. Trump urged Israel to stop bombing to enable releases safely. But long-term risks loom. A foreign-chaired board with no specified end could place Gaza under prolonged external control. It could sever Gaza from the West Bank and stall a unified government. By deferring statehood, the plan swaps political rights for administration. In summary, Trump's Gaza plan presents Palestinians with a stark choice. On one hand, an immediate end to war, a ceasefire, releases, and aid for rebuilding. Initial acceptance of Phase 1 showed a shared desire to halt bloodshed. On the other hand, a foreign-led board of peace, raising a mandate-era specter. It risks undermining sovereignty and self-governance. There is no concrete path to a Palestinian state or reunification. Accepting could trade rights for survival. Rejecting could mean more war. Public reactions reflect this dilemma: end the misery versus guard sovereignty. The plan places Palestine at a critical crossroads. The calculation pits urgent needs of the present against the aspirations of the future. A ceasefire is essential, but lasting peace needs fundamental political rights. Only a path that safeguards dignity, self-determination, and statehood can turn crisis management into a just resolution.